What is Gigantomachia, this Hellenic term? Gigantomachia is a way in which we discover and coin our humanitas, humaneness. In the Orphic idea of Orphic mysteries, every human being contains a notion of tartarism, of bestiality. We take it from nature, from ancient primordial times, 200,000 years ago when we were cannibals, living in caves, devouring each other. When Homo sapiens was devouring Neanderthals, for example, as animal trophies to be devoured and ate. So, in modern civilized ways, what is Gigantomachia? Once it was said that it is forbidden to taste the tree of good and evil, and that was a Hebrew invention. Emperor Julian, in his treatise Contra Galileum, said that you need to know good and evil to derive what is worthy and what is right. And Gigantomachia is an inner war, an inner battle of deriving what is good and what is better, what is to be shed and what is to be ignored, what is to be warded off and defended against. Gigantomachia is a way of confrontation, and it is a term deeply tied with gnotisauton, or knowing thyself, because you learn to know thyself as well as you know to derive what is wise, just and strong and principled, not only from one civilization, but learning from the wisdom of all, whatsoever they had to contribute. Whether we read the treatise of Chankhya, Arthashastra, or Tiruvular by Tirukular, or the ancient wisdom literature of Egypt, or the philosophies of Hellenes, or what the Roman philosophers and rhetors had to convey. This is the episteme part. We learn by reading, but we incorporate by experiencing and making judgments and decisions along the way. In other words, this bestial element is always with them. It speaks during wartime. It speaks during rape, slaughter, bestial murders, serial killings, perversions of various types. It is this ancient element that all humans contain. Now, are humans good or evil by nature? Asked Plato once. They are neither, because we may have an inborn nature that is inclined towards the better or towards bestiality in various admixtures. It is the socialization and civilization that gives some cues on how we are conditioned and socialized in order to walk and act and perform in society. However, this is ruled largely by automatism. People in the streets, regular people, rarely question why do they behave in the way they do. Perhaps that keeps order to a certain extent. But the true wisdom, the true principle, is derived not from being conditioned to believe that that is right, but from discovering it yourself. How? By experiencing confrontations and situations in which we see that some things are right or better than others. Now, I'm not positing any universalism, and I'm not a moralist. I have my ethos. So morality is different in different cultures and civilizations. Ethos is different. I like to say that gods are immoral yet ethical. They have an ethos, a character, a nature pertaining to them. So does everything. However, when we derive certain ideas, We may appear as moral to some, immoral to others, yet we have our ethos. The issue is how to recombine and rectify these wisdoms with metaphysical deified qualities in order to seduce them, in order to make them leave impressions upon us, so that we may embody certain qualities, so that we may permeate them. And that is done by learning, experiencing, incorporation, and embodiment. Now, this is merely an aspiration to many of us, but an aspiration brings fulfillment because it is a coordinate. If we have no coordinates or aspirations, we move in the blind. If we have coordinates and reference points, we aspire to them, and sometimes we may embody at different stages of our lives that what we want to see in us, and reject that what we find obscure, irrelevant, or downright bestial, for example. So Gigantomachia is this inner war that every person with large experience or a deep life needs to fight. Why is it worthy to fight it? Because it develops character, it develops the strength. We do not have it from our birth, like inborn natures. We do not have it in our teenage years because it's a lifelong task. And it is guiding our maturity and guarding it. At certain stage of our lives, we see that we start to master ourselves. And in this mastery, we create coordinates and aspirations and aim, or multiple aims. And hence the great work of sculpting in our minds, hearts, souls, and spirits begins. And hence we may near certain realizations, scattering the delusions and ignorance to four winds, along with follies. Now you may say that you cannot teach it to any other. And I think that is true. You may be a mentor, you may guide, you may show wayward signs, but the person you are trying to teach needs to incorporate it and realize it by himself, herself. And that is relevant to all education. It is relevant to all arts and science and occult. That if you do not realize something by yourself, you won't claim it and you won't incorporate it within yourself. So the best magisters and magistras are those who know how to teach you and inspire you in such a way that you realize it yourself as veritable, as honest, and beautiful. And I'm only wailing over the fact that so little from our mortal share of our human kin is attempting to step upon this Pythagorean path, not living like half-dead human beings that never introspected, never recapitulated, never seen through themselves. Because this very idea, realized on individual conditions, when realized by groups and individuation, when realized by societies, is creating great societies. No other. Thank you.